It's been a very busy year for the Ghana Football Association, and it's going to get busier as the World Cup approaches. Today I am in the office of the Ghana Football Association, and today on the Untold Stories, we will delve into all that is happening, or all that will be happening as they prepare for the World Cup. The Black Stars will be making their 4th appearance just next month in Qatar, and today we will be hosting the spokesperson or the communication director of the Ghana Football Association, my former boss, Henry Asante. Twum on the Untold Stories. We will be right back to get into the conversation right after this quick commercial. I have never interviewed you before. I mean, and so today I really feel honored to interview the man that actually you caught my teeth in the sports journalism. But take me through how your normal day as the communication director of the Ghana Football Association, how busy it is.
Normally, getting to the end of the week, we are quite busy. That's when we start preparing for the competitions. Assigning cameramen to cover matches, working on previews of the various games from the Women's League to the Division 1 to the Premier League, and all those information actually fall on my desk. So it's a stack of or a pile of activities, and so it's quite busy.
I guess the 24 hours is never sufficient for you.
Probably, but we are managing.
Okay, now I mean you. Once upon a time, you were behind the console. You've been on sets as a sports journalist, been a huge critic of the various stakeholders of sports, especially football. I mean, now getting into administration, have you had a better understanding of how things work, especially at the Ghana Football Association? If you had the chance to go back as a sports journalist, will some of your analysis or criticisms change?
Not at all. I still stand by everything that I said on radio.
Really?
Yes, I still stand by everything that I said on TV, regardless of where I find myself today, because I was not a noise maker. I raised
There are
value.
noise makers?
Oh yes, there are a lot of noise makers.
In the system?
A lot. Every issue I raised was backed by evidence and fact. For instance, if I spoke about making the games accessible or making products accessible, today our products are accessible. We are doing Facebook live streaming. We are doing YouTube live streaming. We are producing content day in and day out. There is GFA news and there is highlights of matches. It wasn't the case.
So it means you are walking the talk.
In the past. So I stand by everything that I said. Look, Betty, we were together. And I spoke about feeling very embarrassed seeing Hearts of Oak occupy that building at Asylum Down. And I said, that area is a commercial center of Accra, and they could turn the office into something valuable than what it is today. This was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Today, House of Oak have turned the office into a commercial center.
3 years in office, and you being in charge as the communication director of the Ghana Football Association. I mean, if you take the Ministry of Youth and Sports, the most criticized, association is the GFA. How would you rate yourself as the communication director of the FA?
My ratings must go in tandem with the administration together, even though I did not join this administration immediately after the elections. I think we've done a lot. The criticisms are normal. And I keep saying that the results of what we are doing today will not be felt today. The results of what we are doing today will be felt in the future.
Really?
One, the decision to decentralize football and make our regional football associations stronger. Today, we are organizing juvenile football in every district of Ghana. We are organizing juvenile football in every region of Ghana. The champions are brought to Accra to compete in the KGL U17 Interclub Champions League. We've produced 2 brilliant champions. Last season in the first edition, we produced Mal FC as the champions. This year, the champions came from Tamale. Great Corinthians from Tamale were the champions. Now, this year, the WAFU Under-17 Championship, we had products of the KGL Under-17 Champions League in that Under-17 national team. These players, hopefully, would grow to the U20, U23, and later become Black Stars players. The decision to also invest in women's football is beginning to yield dividends. For which reason Hazake's ladies went to WAFU and conquered. Hazake's ladies were second in the maiden edition of the Women's Champions League. Unfortunately, Ampimdakwa ladies could not replicate that performance, and so they couldn't make it to the Women's Champions League proper, which will be staged later next year. Now you come to investment in referees, investment in logistics. Today, we have communication gadgets being used by our referees. Our referees are beginning to get the necessary recognition on the African continent. They officiate in Confederation, Champions League, and Africa and World Cup qualifying games. And we publish on the FA website, and it's there for everyone to see. Again, the decision to invest in young boys who will take over from the current Daniel Ayes and co. The Catch Them Young project is doing absolutely well. Today, as we speak, these boys will be taken to Ivory Coast to go and officiate in the U16 Africa Inter-Schools competition. It's the first of its kind in Africa. That young boys of junior high school and senior high school ages are going to officiate matches beyond the borders of Ghana. When will be that?
Is it because it's not something we are not seeing the results immediately? That's why a lot of people don't appreciate the works of the FA?
I think so. I think so, and it's not their fault. What it is that we are used to Black Stars winning, Black Stars winning. Even when it comes to the Black Stars, we haven't won the Africa Cup of Nations for 40 plus years. But within that period, we were at 3 World Cup competitions. So kids who were born in 2006 or kids who were born in, say, 1996, by 2006 were 10 years. And the first time they saw competitive football, Black Stars, would be on TV at the World Cup in Germany. Then in 4 years' time, they will be 14. And they will see the Black Stars, or they saw the Black Stars in South Africa in 2010. Then another 4 years, they are 18. They are at their matured level. And they saw the Black Stars in Brazil playing at the World Cup again. So they are used to Black Stars, Black Stars, Black Stars, Black Stars. But the team that qualified Ghana to our first World Cup was a team that began their journey in 2001 under Ike Afrani. John Pinsel, John Mensah, Michael Essien, Razak Pimpon, Ibrahim Atiku. They played at the under-17 in 99, under-20 in 2001. John Pinsel, Derek Boateng, and all those players. Then they moved to the Black Stars level. A chunk of them stayed, and then we had the 2009 generation joining them for South Africa 2010. What it means is that you need a strong foundation to be able to be sustainable.
Now, talk of foundation. We've seen what the FA is doing with regards to strengthening the grassroots, grassroots football. You come to youth national teams, and one of the most talked about issue is the fact that youth national coaches are not being paid. And so they do business with, selection of players to join the junior national team. This results in we not getting quality to represent us in the junior national team. So you produce the talent, but when you get to the national team, you don't get the quality to represent because, you need to pay something. Well, whether it is true or not, why are youth national team coaches not paid?
Every coach has a contract with the FA. Okay, not a contract, but an appointment letter. What I know is that this issue has been discussed at the executive council level. A number of ideas came up from the president to members of the executive council, blah, blah, blah. And the decision us at that meeting was that, yes, we need to take a second look at what we do to entice or motivate our coaches. But Betty, think about this. You have a head coach, 2 assistant coaches. So are you going to pay the coaches or the head coach and leave the assistant coaches, as well as the other people who work in the back room, like physios, team maze, team doctor, equipment officer, physical trainer? Now, when you want to make all of these people happy, to be able to give of their best, you need to entice all of them. So it's not easy. So I think people's focus and attention or thinking is only on the head coaches.
But Mr. There should be some solution somewhere.
Okay, that's why I'm saying that I am privy to some plans that is being put in place, at least to it, not necessarily to give them money to alleviate all the hardships they go through. Aside the Black Stars, let's look at the other national teams. Meteors, Satellites, Starlets, and U15. When you come to the girls, you have princesses, you have damsels, you have maidens, and you have the Black Queens. So 9 national teams. 9 national teams. Each national team has not less than 13 people who work in the technical team. So you multiply 13 times 9. That's no joke.
Will it be feasible? Because with the way you are talking, it seems it's still at the talk stage. It's not something that can be conclusive and be realized.
Figures have been discussed. So I think where we are is about speaking to the individual people to tell them what the FA intends doing, have an agreement in principle, and then we will be off and running.
Have you ever had reports of youth national team coaches not being professional enough to bribe for selections?
It always comes up, but we've never had any evidence whatsoever to implicate someone.
But has players ever reported that?
Players don't show up. We hear it from people who are associated with player A or player B,
they are coaches.
But no player has come up to make a bold statement or report a coach that he took 2 CDs from me and promised to give me a place in the team.
But are you investigating?
Some
obviously there is no smoke without fire.
Absolutely. So some discussions have gone on in the past. Let me just tell you that, sometimes we hear reports, individuals voluntarily come to the FA to make reports or give us snippets of information. Our integrity department always picks up the issue, and if they investigate to a certain point and there is not enough evidence, we drop the case.
How different will our preparation for the World Cup this year be as compared to the one we had in our last appearance, that's in 2014? How different is our preparation?
The difference is clear, and it's not peculiar to Ghana. The difference is that you do not have the luxury of time as compared to the past. In the past, we always play the World Cup at the end of a season. This time, we are playing the World Cup in the middle of a season. So the earliest time you get your players released by their clubs will be 1 week to the tournament. So for instance, tournament starts on 20th. We are expecting to have a full house by 14th. In previous competitions, there was time to prepare. Now, there is no time.
Why the current trend of calling foreign-based players? Is our local league not competitive enough?
Even in 1982, when we won the Cup of Nations, there were foreign players in our team, or maybe foreign-based players in our team. Yes, it's because the game has turned professional. It's because today we are in a global world and talents are being snapped up every now and then. A typical case in point was 2 seasons ago when Kwame Poku was the hot shot in our domestic league. Within 2 months he was off. You don't consider him as a home-based player, and by the provisions in our regulations or in the Constitution of Ghana, there is right of movement, so you can't stop him from seeking greener pastures. So that has been the trend, and it's not the fault of the FA. I'm sure many African federations are facing the same problem compared to what we face, When a player shines 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, within 2 months, there is a foreign club ready to snap the player up. And again, I think that one of the things we cannot also control is that in the past, yes, there are Abedi Pele, and Abedi Pele, for instance, started his career in Niger. You know, before he went to France. George Oponwia started his career in Cameroon before he was recommended by Claude Leroy, and then Arsene Wenger came to pick him and sent him to Monaco. So in the past, you know, access to TV and games on the African continent was rare. I am privileged that in 2011 I was part of a team that went to watch a juvenile game somewhere at Kobo Dumasi, and we scouted a certain party, and today he's one of the best players in the world. You know, we scouted a certain Nicolas Oje, Moses Oje, Francis Na, and today all of them are abroad. You know, it's great to see a player like Baba Rahman out of nowhere played for Asante within 1 season. He was off.
Well, many club owners actually cry over the mass exodus of players, but it seems you are one of the few minds that think it's good for football. It's
good for our industry. Brazil ships 300 plus, 150 plus, 200 plus every year, but there are still talents in Brazil. I'm sure in 2014, Gabriel Jesus was a young player in playing in the second division in Brazil. Today, he's a top player in the world. Gabriel Martinelli is only 21 years. 6 years ago, he was a juvenile player. Today, he's a top player at Arsenal. And the list is endless.
Now, I mean, as part of the Black Stars preparations to the World Cup, we saw some international friendly games that were lined up for the Black Stars. I mean, they played against Brazil, Nicaragua, and Switzerland. What went into the selection of those countries for the friendly games? Because there's been one particular country, Nicaragua, that a lot of people have raised questions about.
If Nicaragua doesn't play Ghana, who do they play? These matches are extremely important. You know, in football, there is a game of higher intensity, mid intensity, and lower intensity.
So Nicaragua was low intensity.
When you are getting ready for a major competition, you cannot play top level games throughout. When you play top level games throughout, you exert more energy and it can kill you. Sometimes when you don't even get the result prior to a game or prior to a major tournament, it affects your confidence level. So sometimes you need, for instance, in that window, we decided to play 2 games, one higher intensity, one mid or lower intensity game. We played Brazil, currently ranked #1 in the world, with all the big stars you can think of. Neymar, Vinicius, Alisson Becker, and all those players. And they gave us a good game. You cannot play a team of a similar level in your second match. So we decided to play Brazil top level game. They will give us competition. It gives us a fair idea of how to prepare for the game against Uruguay. Uruguay are giants in South America. Brazil are equally strong. Then once you are done, you need a game that would help you to assess other players. Because you are going into a tournament and you need a wholesome squad. Aside your starting lineup, you need players who would be on the bench, who will not just be there to occupy space, but players who can equally come in and perform.
Did we financially invest in this international friendlies?
Of course, you have to. You have to invest in friendly matches.
So we pay to these countries?
No, depending on what you want to do. You need to be prepared to sacrifice. Sometimes we go into games without money. Sometimes we go into games by reinvesting whatever money you are making in the game. We've played Morocco. We went to Morocco under CK. We played Ivory Coast under CK at the Cape Coast Stadium. We went to Japan to play in the Kirin Cup. And then we recently played Brazil and Nicaragua, and we are playing Switzerland. When you are getting closer to a World Cup competition, you need to invest. You need to invest by playing these kind of games. Fortunately, we don't go to government for money to go and play friendly matches. Sometimes we make money out of the friendly matches to use to entice players to play and to also take care of other costs.
Make money out of the friendly matches?
Yes, I mean, it's evident. Of course, it is not every friendly match that gives us money, but some of the friendly matches are financially rewarding.
Well, I'm asking you this based on some reports out there that the FA used the FIFA money to sponsor the friendly matches that they've played so far. That's the Nicaragua and Brazil. Is that the case? Did we pay money to these countries?
No.
We didn't pay a penny.
We paid money. We paid money to take care of our participation. Paid for tickets.
Accommodation.
Paid for accommodation. Paid for player appearance fee for them to play. Pay for your technical team members. Internal transport. Flying within Europe because we were in France. We flew to Spain. There was a charter from France to Spain. When we got to Spain, you need to pay for hotel. You need to pay for a few other expenses. Now, even if it is true that we use the FIFA money, look, before you go into every competition, FIFA gives you money for preparation. The Brazil game was for preparation. Nicaragua was for preparation. Switzerland will be for preparation. What's the big deal? There's no big deal. It means we are even using the money wisely by preparing. We did not fold our arms and sit down and say, oh, the money has come. We won't play any friendly match. You can go to hell. If it went into a profitable venture, I think the FA deserves commendations than the criticisms and the noise.
Well, Mr. Hart,
even if it is the case.
But is it?
I don't know.
You don't know. Anyways, Mr. Hart, going into this World Cup, it's always been an issue of per diems, money issues with the players.
I won't even allow you to land.
Have this been resolved with government?
What I know is that deep-seated conversations have gone on. That is an area that loads of time and energy has been committed to. We want to try as much as possible not to repeat what happened in Brazil. We have engaged the leaders or the leadership of the Black Stars on numerous occasions. In fact, Andre was in Brazil. He experienced what happened together with Wakaso and Jordan Ayew, who are members of the team today, and Jonathan Mensah, and they know that it will be suicidal and criminal to repeat what happened in Brazil. Continuously, they have engaged their teammates to avoid controversy, to avoid any form of behavior that would jeopardize and mar our participation in the World Cup.
Why are we still not aware of Ghana's squad yet? Is it strategic?
Unlike the game against Nigeria, you cannot hide your squad. I'm sure if you decide not to name your squad, FIFA will publish anyway. So because competitions like this is not for you, it's for FIFA. And so we cannot decide that we won't make the squad known or we won't make the squad public. I know a number of meetings have been going on. The coach, first of all, needs to present his squad and he must defend the squad, and the squad needs to be approved, and once it is approved, it is made public. The coach submitted his squad.
He has done that already.
The management committee have met once. Let's not also forget that even at this point, whatever name you put out, it's not a final squad, it's just a provisional squad. FIFA has given you the opportunity to name a provisional squad, after which you confirm your final squad. I think 2 weeks or so to the competition. So please be calm, don't worry. You will get the squad.
Ghanaians should be calm.
You will get the squad, or you will see the squad when all the processes have been judiciously followed.
Now, when is the team supposed to begin camping?
I'm sure by 13th, 14th. The local component will leave on the 10th.
Okay.
I'm sure the kids managers, the physios, the team doctors, the nutritionists, and the cook.
It seems you are very prepared, well prepared for this tournament.
Yes, at least I know there is a master plan in place, and that master plan gives me joy. That master plan gives me a certain sense of assurance that everything is on course. And so camping begins officially on 13th, 14th. We expect the final batch of players to arrive by 14th. The team will train for 3 days at least, no, 3 days at most, before we play against Switzerland.
There have been some concerns raised by some football fans and even some sports journalists. And I know it will heighten when probably, I mean, I'm not predicting doom for Ghana, but if Ghana does not perform well at the World Cup, many will come back and say, oh, we said it, you took a part-time coach. I know you've heard that a lot, but what's your response to that?
What are the responsibilities of a national team coach, in your estimation?
Oh, you're asking me?
Yes.
Oh, just the normal responsibilities that you have.
Like
you
what?
You train, you prepare the team for national assignments and all that.
And at this moment, is there anything to indicate that the man in the seat is not performing his role as such? I mean, honestly speaking, I don't get it. If it is that, Betty, if it is that you do not think, not based on science, not based on results, not based on fact, you can think about something and it's not factual, and you are permitted to do it. It is within your right to think about something that you feel needs to be done a certain way, which is not factual, which does not follow logic, which does not follow science. But I'm saying that you can sit in Ghana and you are the full-time coach of the Black Stars, and you don't travel anywhere and still sit here and do your work without traveling. Because today, softwares are everywhere. You can monitor players from every corner of the world without necessarily sitting in an aircraft to go and visit the player. Unless in extreme circumstance, you want to have a one-on-one with a player at a particular time. That's why I asked you, what are the functions of the head coach of a national team in your estimation? Otto monitors his players. Otto speaks to his players. Otto visits his players when necessary. Otto has been ever present at every game. In fact, he is one of the first to arrive, whether in Ghana or abroad. It has nothing to do with his status as a part-time or full-time. Because the man has shown diligence ever since he was given the job, including his assistants. So, you see, when results don't come, people want to find faults at all times. And that is how football is. Me, if you ask me, I am not saying we must have a part-time coach. But let's appreciate what the man did by taking us to the World Cup. At a time when we had 6 weeks to a major playoff following our debacle in Cameroon. 6 weeks. When people said that we will lose 4-0 in Kumasi and 5-0 in Abuja, this man took us. We went to Kumasi, drew, we went to Nigeria and conquered.
But you know that...
Why has he become ordinary within a shortest possible time?
Maybe because of recent performances.
Yes, and I'm saying that I get it when the results are not coming or are not forthcoming, because football is about results. But it has nothing to do with his status as either a full-time or part-time. Don't full-time coaches lose matches?
They do.
Haven't we seen clubs whose full-time coaches supervise poor results? In any case, was Milo not a full-time coach of the Black Stars? Did he win a single game in Cameroon? Did he?
No.
For which reason we exited in the group stage. Our first ever shambolic performance since 2006. Was Ratome Dukovic not a full-time coach in 2006 when we exited the Cup of Nations in Egypt? So that's why I'm saying it is not based on science. It's not factual. I can punch holes into that argument and it will fall flat. But at the end of the day, when results are not forthcoming, these things come up.
Well, do you?
Are you saying that all the teams that are going to the World Cup in November, all the 32 will progress to the second round. Because apart from Ghana, all the other 31 countries have full-time coaches. Are all the 32 teams going to progress to the second round with full-time coaches?
We don't care about ours.
With full-time coaches? No. But why?
We care about ours.
Why? Atayana Ocean now here. Obi and Shena here ofena wakoto. Etina wabono enye obi na abobi. And I want so why I offer. And me trimi. Me de no. Efu ni. What you see? So I'm saying that in extreme circumstance or in more critical situations, comparison is allowed.
But as communication director of the FA, do you see Ghana going far under Otuado at the World Cup?
Expect the biggest shock of your life in November.
Shock can be positive or negative.
Expect the biggest shock. I won't sit here and wish myself doom. Okay. So expect the biggest shock of your life in November. It's good that we have been written off. It's good that we are the lowly ranked team in our group. It's good that nobody expects anything good to come from us. But expect the biggest shock of your life in November.
You sound so confident and I like that. Well, Mr. As, finally, I mean, let me ask you this. So what has been your general view or opinion on the commentaries from sports journalists on the work of DFA?
Well, it's good. I think that sometimes people speak out of ignorance, but it's allowed. I believe that sometimes people make genuine analysis. Listen. Let me put on record that I will never sit here in front of camera and say Keto Kreku's administration has performed 100 over 100 or is the best ever in our history. Whoever says is the worst in our history is entitled to his opinion. I heard a whole lot after the AFCON. I was listening to radio one morning and a colleague journalist said Keto Kreku is the most okay, let me say in simple terms, is the worst FA president in the history of Ghana football. Because that person has forgotten so soon that in 2020 we produced the African champions in the Black Sunlights. How many FA presidents have been able to do that? In fact, 93, 95, 2009, and then 2020.
Anyways, congratulations on winning the court case. I think it's a relief to the Ghana Football Association because now the Ghana Premier League is back. Yeah, how excited are you?
We knew we had committed no crime, but we just had to follow the jurisprudence and the legal procedure. It is what it is. From day one, we knew we would come out clean, but like they say, democracy is expensive. So we only needed to be patient and respect the laws of the land and the constitution that mandates every single individual, be it male or female, boy or girl, to head to court when he or she feels he's been treated wrongly, yes, or his right or her right has been infringed on. So we are good, we are okay. The season is back. Hopefully on Saturday, Hearts of Oak will play Bibiani Gold Stars. The other games will continue on Sunday, and then we'll have 2 derbies on Monday: RTU, Tamale City, and then King Faisal Kumasi Asante Korogo on Monday. So we hope to play about 4 more matches, and then we'll go on break on the 20th of November and resume after the World Cup on December 18.
Okay. Well, that's my boss, the man who actually held my hand in sports journalism, Henry Asante. So this is where we draw the curtains on today's episode of the Untold Stories. My name is Betty Yosin. Do have a great day, and we'll catch you in our next episode.